Welcome to Point Blank Period, Point Blank Period,
Point blank period.
Point blank period.
Point Blank Period. No pressure.
Can't have a baseball conversation without bringing up Ohtani.
He's a great pitcher and a power hitter. Yo, this man's top five.
I'm still taking today's NFL.
I'm going with the 90s.
None of them are better than Brady.
This is your argument?
No, what I'm saying is, who's MVP? Do they not matter no more?
Like, everything you said before that point is irrelevant.
Not how the NFL works, baby. We drafted your replacement already. So,
Whoa. I don't gotta talk to no peons.
why not just come back and prove?
This time he really going off. Fireworks.
Because we can't argue facts. What I told you when you got involved with this.
This
Grown
is
man business. Grown man business.
Welcome to Point Blank Period Podcast, the best sports podcast, Point Blank Period. This is our impromptu podcast. This is our mock draft 1.0. We're going to do a full breakdown at a future date. It's going to be our pregame. But right now, we're going to just go through kind of our top picks, a couple of top selections for the upcoming draft in 2026. With that being said, Mr. Amari, I think most people know who the number 1 and 2 picks going to be, but just to give them a refresher, who you think the first 2 picks going to be, and then we're going to get to our list.
The first 2 picks as of right now, and they have been ultimately projected for at least 3 to 4 months now. Fernando Mendoza at number 1 and Arvell Reese at number 2. I don't see any change in those, being Fernando being the destined franchise quarterback for the Las Vegas Raiders, and then Arvell Reese being such a versatile defensive weapon. The Jets could definitely use at number 2.
All right. So with that being said, we're going to start with number 3. Do you want me to give you the names of the people, or you kind of got the names and who you think will be the 3rd pick, or how you want to do it?
I got the names. I'm about to say, if you want to say the team, you can say the team. Just
Arizona picking at 3, but you could tell me, do you think they're going to go to, who you think going to go to Arizona, or who's the best available player? However you want to do it. It's on you, Mr. Amari.
All right. Well, I believe personally, I think the Arizona Cardinals will go offensive line, and I think their best chance and best prospect with doing this is Francis Mauigoa out of Miami. He's a good tackle, great size, great arm length. He's very athletic, has great feet. He's a little rough around the edges. I would say he's very aggressive. So I mean, he just calls for holding penalties. But other than that, I feel like he's a great tackle prospect.
After that, we got the Tennessee Titans, a team that may needs a little bit of everything. So who you think they will be picking, and what position you think they most at need?
With everything that they've done in free agency, I actually think they lean a little bit more to the defensive side of the ball, and I actually have them with this selection taking edge out of Miami, Ruben Bain Jr. He has the bend, he has the motor. A lot of the biggest concerns has been his arm length. It's saying that he has what people call quote unquote T-Rex arms. I don't necessarily see that as much of a big problem with how good Ruben Bain is, but only time will tell in the NFL.
All right. A team that you believe that had one of the best off seasons, the New York Giants. They come in at the 5th pick. Who you think they should be selecting, or what they should be looking for?
So the New York Giants, actually, with some of their moves this offseason and with the more recent release of Bobby Okereke, I think this is where they jump into as most people call it, the best player available round. And especially for the defensive side, I think you go to the athletic freak out of Ohio State and you take Sonny Styles. He blew the combine away, breaking numerous records, and even more so, you look into his film from last season, he was a monster. So to have him commanding your defense, having that green dot, being the main signal caller on the defensive side of the ball, I think it'll be a good adjustment. He'll be a plug-and-play starter.
Let me ask you this question, because in most mock drafts outside of the one we doing, they got him like directly outside the top 10. So you think he can go from a number 11 pick to the 5th pick, or the number 12 pick? Because most of them projecting between 11 to 15. That's his projection. So you think he can jump all the way to 5?
I think with his recent combine performance, and even more so the upcoming pro day performances, I believe he can jump into that top five range, even more so be the pick at five. If so, I mean he could potentially drop out of the top 10, but I see a team trading up for him before then.
Another team, and I guess most of the teams in the top 5 to 10 will need a lot of help, but this team in particular, the Cleveland Browns, they need everything, maybe even a quarterback. So, who do you think they would be getting, and why?
I actually got them pairing a receiver with Shador, wide receiver out of Ohio State, Cardinal Tate. His 40-yard dash didn't really shock many people. Actually, a lot of people kind of put a lot of speculation, and that's why he would drop in the draft. But most receivers with slower 40 times typically are great route runners, or have great keys for separation. So with Cardinal Tate being one of the most polished receivers in this draft class, I think this is where he goes to Cleveland at 6.
And with him in particular, I heard a lot that people think that he may be a slot. And I say that to say that most slots are not uberly fast, but they hella quick. So they can, in a short space, to your point, they can route you up real quick, get that 5-yard intermediate route, sure-handed, no leverage, XYZ, know the position. How do you kind of see Cardinal Tate?
I think Cardinal Tate definitely could be an outside receiver. I do think he would get a lot of his reps in the slot, but going to Cleveland, he would likely be a true outside X or wide receiver, being that they do have Isaiah Bond and they do have Jerry Jeudy, and those two guys kind of operate primarily out of the slot. I feel like that's where most of their work comes from. I think Cardinal Tate could definitely get some type of production on the outside.
Okay. The Washington Commanders, they come in with the 7th pick. How do you see them picking, Mr. Amari?
See, the Washington Commanders, I believe, will actually take best player available. And with their depleted running back room, this will be the move to take the best player in this draft, I believe, in Jeremiah Love.
Hold on. So you say overall, you think he's the number one player, the best player in the whole draft?
Yes.
Oh, okay. That's surprising. And he will fall off. Well, I ain't gonna say fall because I believe Bijan, Christian McCaffrey, if I'm mistaken, I think they all was like the 8th pick. So I think running backs, even if you are valuable, they typically go somewhere like you just saying that 7th, 8th draft pick. If I ain't mistaken, I believe Bijan's the 8th pick for the Atlanta Falcons.
Yes.
So speaking of pick number 8, we got the New Orleans Saints.
Actually have them just with the loss of Cam Jordan, and I think as of right now they do have Chase Young on one side. I think they pair another young edge up with him this offseason and definitely in this draft, and they take David Bailey out of Texas Tech. He definitely has some bend. He has some bend, not very much, but he does have a deadly spin move that he can definitely utilize. If he gets some one-on-ones, he could definitely be very productive.
Let me ask you this question, because you just brought Cam up. From 0 to 100, if they don't pick him, how sure, not sure, but what's your prediction that Cam may come back to the Saints if they don't draft the guy you're speaking of? Like, do you think it's a 30% chance, a 70% chance, 20% chance?
I think it's more of, I honestly think it's a 50% chance because right now when smoke comes fire, but there's also a lot of smoke and mirrors. So there's a lot of word going around that Cam Jordan might be expressing his chances to go to Kansas City. But
I think that'd be a good move.
I just think Cam Jordan is too much of a loyal guy to want to leave New Orleans. If New Orleans is willing to make this work, he'll return.
This is gonna sound like an ignorant question, but I'm really asking. Was Cam on that Super Bowl team with the Saints?
No, I don't believe so.
So he doesn't have a ring. So yeah, it's time to go ring chasing. Yeah, loyalty will play. Time to go ring chasing. So speaking of Kansas City, they come in with the 9th pick. What do you see them headed to with a draft pick?
With the depletion of their defensive back room, trading Trent McDuffie to the Los Angeles Rams, and then turning around and losing Jalen Watson to the Los Angeles Rams, I think this is where you need to attack the cornerback room, and this is where you take DB out of LSU, Mansour Delane. He just ran a blazing 40-yard dash at his pro day, and I think with him not having strenuous injury history, and then having some good tape alongside of him, I think this is definitely the selection for the Kansas City Chiefs at 9.
Let me ask you one question. With Patrick Mahomes coming back off his devastating injury, do you think they need to short the offensive line to make sure they keep that golden goose safe?
I do think they need to ensure this offensive line to definitely keep Patrick Mahomes safe. I mean, this was definitely not an injury that they want to see for happen in the future. But as of right now, with the cap flexibility that Kansas City has, I'm not exactly sure if they can pay a top tier tackle to come into Kansas City. And if so, there's still
No, that
Taylor
was
Decker
my
out.
draft one. You don't think they should draft one?
They could draft one or they could sign one. I mean, I'll say Taylor Decker is still a free agent, and he's a top offensive tackle in the free agency as of right now.
The only reason I asked you that because you went with DB, but it's cheaper to draft than it is to sign. I can draft you, and I ain't got to pay you till year 3, year 4, maybe even year 5, depending on the contract. But with that being said, the worst team on the podcast, the Cincinnati Bengals. What do you see that they need?
I mean, they need defensive players in general, but the one thing I think they need is a true leader in the back half of that defense, and I think this is where they get it with. And I know Katie, when he watches this, he's gonna be happy to hear me say it, but they're gonna get the defensive captain out of Ohio State, safety Caleb Downs. I think he would truly mesh that defensive backcourt all together, and it'll actually help them. I mean, because as far as the front end, I mean, they've made some good additions to their defensive line, and even more so going into free agency. So if they get the pressure up front, or the back end can hold out, that means that there are more sacks to come. Or if the front end gets to the quarterback, there's more picks to come. So this seems up for the Cincinnati defense.
Now, my power brother wasn't here to speak for himself, but you and I know he have his eye on Sonny Styles. You don't think there's a chance that he can drop to that 10th spot, that they can somehow get him? I know if he's there at 10, I'm like 80% sure they're gonna pick him up. But do you think there is a chance that he'll be there at 10? Is more the question.
I don't necessarily think he'll be there at 10. I think if he makes it past 5, the Cincinnati Bengals need to trade up to ensure that they lock a talent like that in.
All right. So now we're going to kind of skip down to number 15. And with that being said, we got the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. They just lost their linebacker, Lavonte David. He just retired. So they may be looking for linebackers, but that's just my opinion, or defensive skill set players. Where do you see them going at with the 15th pick, Tampa Bay Buccaneers?
I have the Tampa Bay Buccaneers taking C.J. Allen, linebacker out of Georgia. With the departure, like you said, not the departure, the retirement of Lavonte David, you have a hole that needs to be filled. I feel like you've always had one good linebacker and never two at the same time. Since, I believe Devin White's first or second year, you've never had two consistent linebackers. You always had the one, which is Lavonte David. Whereas now, you bring in a rookie like C.J. Allen, and then you pair him alongside with someone else. I think you're in a great fit, and I think C.J. Allen. It's not, like I said, Tampa Bay, and you kind of stay within the South. He leaves from Georgia, he heads down to Tampa Bay. I think it's a great fit, and you playing in the 3-4 defense.
All right, this team in particular, the New York Jets, they's one of the teams that we talked about on the last podcast, where we spoke about they have 2 picks in the first round, and this is their second pick. So we believe they'll get Arvell Reese with the second pick. So now that kind of take care, I guess, your edge rusher, your outside linebacker, depending on what position you want to put them at. What do you see them going for their second draft pick in the first round?
I actually have him taking a wide receiver in Makai Lemon. His draft stock has kind of depleted a little bit, but I don't see him falling outside of the first round. I'm actually shocked that he would even make it outside of the top 15, but for him at 16, pairing him alongside with Garrett Wilson, you get 2 premier route runners in that offense, definitely giving Geno some weapons. But now just kind of, you need to see it all in fruition. Can it work out? Makai Lemon is a little bit undersized. He's definitely more of a slot than an outside receiver. So what can you put on the other outside alongside with Garrett Wilson and Makai Lemon in the slot to really make this offense pop?
They first got to get a quarterback. But no shade, no shade. Sorry about that. Sorry.
He never wrote back. He never wrote back.
Nah, he came back. There's no place like home. So with the draft pick number 17, we had the Detroit Lions.
I actually have the Detroit Lions drafting a tackle, Monroe Freeling, out of Georgia. He's arguably the best left tackle prospect in this draft, and he's a true left tackle. If your plan is to keep Panay on the right side, this should be your move. There have been some sources saying that Detroit is planning to move Panay to the left side, but he hasn't played that position up to this point would have been 3 years. I think it's a little bit hard, a little bit tricky of a task to just move somebody from one side to another. But Monroe Freeling being a true left tackle, I think this is the spot you take him.
And with that being said, I literally just seen something on, I think, NFL.com, and it was like, I think his response was like riding a bike, and basically once you do it, you just got to get used to doing it. But I think, to your point, it kind of hampers him. Like something I haven't did. I remember just a little story. The show called Ballers with The Rock, and they had asked the dude to do the same thing, move from right to left or left to right, and he was explaining to his wife, it's like eating with your other hand. Like the difference is my left leg is my kick leg, or my right leg is my kick leg. Now I got to. How hard do you think, especially you being an ex college football player, how hard is that transition to move from left to right? Because people just think that, oh, it's an old line, it's the old line, but just talk about the intricacies of doing such a thing.
Really, the difference between right tackle and left tackle is, I mean, the priorities are a little bit different. I mean, most times you look at right tackles, they're more of the mauler, the run blocker, but the left tackle, you're the quarterback's blind side. You're the personal protector for him every single play. So at the end of the day, however bad your pass set may be, you need to figuratively be destroyed before that edge rusher gets to your quarterback. You sacrifice every single bit of your being for your quarterback as the left tackle. You're moving from right to left, all of your mechanics change. Like you said, you went from using your right leg as your kick leg to your left leg as the kick leg. I mean, most offensive lines don't usually, or at least tackles, put their hand in the dirt, but literally everything is gone because you're trying to protect your inside gap, which is now with your right hand versus where it was usually with your left as the left tackle, as the right tackle. So it's little intricacies, the plays flip, everything kind of, it's all mental from moving from the right to the left. But it is possible. But I do agree with that example. Like you said, eating it when you used to eating with your right, and this is now eating with your left.
All right. With the 18th pick, the Minnesota Vikings. What do you think they should be looking for?
I actually have them in a toss-up. I do believe that they go the defensive back route, but with the release of Harrison Smith, I do think they dip into the safety pool and draft safety out of Oregon, Dylan Thieneman. Is so because I think he, with his speed and versatility, I think he could definitely be a great piece in that Brian Flores defense. And even more so, if they were to bring Harrison Smith back, he could play free safety along with Harrison Smith at strong. I just think this is a great plug and play fit for them, and I think he'll do great wonders in that Brian Flores defense.
We got the Carolina Panthers with the 19th pick. I think this their second pick also in the first round, right?
No, this is their first.
How they get the 19th pick? Shouldn't they be a lot higher? Oh, no, they
made the playoffs.
Excuse me, Carolina. I'm so used to them losing that seeing them in the double digits, it just threw me off a little bit. I'm sorry.
Hey, Carolina fans, you can boo him. Don't boo the podcast. Y'all follow. But no, at 19, I actually have Carolina dipping and actually pouring in more into Bryce Young. I'm not exactly sure if Xavier Legette as a wide receiver 3 is proven to be your next dangerous weapon, but this person right here, I do have him as yours. Tight end Keen Sadiq out of Oregon. He's listed as a tight end, but he's definitely more of a true versatile weapon. You can play slot. You can even put him on the outside. He has mismatch capabilities. So I think he'll be a great fit for Carolina, and he'll give a great safety valve for Bryce Young.
What you think about this guy here? One pundit say like a poor man Jimmy Graham. Now I don't think he's as tall as Jimmy Graham, but I think they
I
said
say
that due to his versatility.
I'll say he's not as tall as Jimmy Graham. He's not as big as Jimmy Graham, but I will say I do think he's just as athletic, or maybe even a bit more athletic than Jimmy Graham.
Oh, that's saying a lot. Jimmy Graham, I'm gonna say
Play
borderline Hall of
basketball.
Fame. I'm gonna say
I
borderline
say,
Hall of Fame. I don't think he get in, but he's right there in that top tight ends that doesn't make the Hall of Fame. What you think about that? As far as Jimmy Graham, just off the top, Jimmy Graham
nah,
Hall of Fame.
I I can't necessarily pull the numbers right now, but I think I want to say Jimmy Graham's numbers put him in, but
And I
you
believe,
know,
and I didn't believe,
winning
I
and
know he was a
everything
part of
kind
that
of.
second squad that won the Super Bowl. I know he was there.
I'll say I believe he was, but it's like winning kind of plays a part in that. I mean, once he left from New Orleans, it's like what was he then? So
So
that all those
was he
things kind
made
of.
that Drew Brees? Is he what's his name? Colston? Is he one of those guys that I made you without me, you not that great? Or was he just great? Because he's a basketball player, so football
Yeah,
was his second sport. Like it was kind of foreign for him. But I
I
just look
mean,
at him
yeah.
as like right there, that list of tight ends that's not Hall of Fame yet. Well, not yet because he out, but not the Hall of Fame, but right underneath. Almost the comparison we made last week on our pod with the Brandon Marshall and the Ocho as the wide receivers. Like I think they upper echelon non Hall of Famers. They the best of the dudes who couldn't get in. But with that being said, we're gonna get to our 20th pick, which is the Dallas Cowboys. I'm interested to see what you got to say about this.
I actually have the Dallas Cowboys going in the defensive back area, and they're going to take cornerback Gerard McCoy. He's a corner. He's a true man-to-man corner. He has a great disruptive press. He's definitely he has great ball skills. When the ball is in the air, he does try to seek the ball, and he's willing. He's a willing tackler in the run game. So I think he'll be a great fit for Dallas. Honestly, if not for Dallas, I think he'll be a great fit for Minnesota. But I think Dallas takes him with this pick.
The one pick you've been waiting for. Matter of fact, let me do this. Let me see if I can. It won't let me. I was trying to pitch you. I was trying to pitch you on the main screen. With number 21, the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Hold
Y'all
on.
still don't have a quarterback. There's a couple of things y'all need. What you think?
I don't think we actually lean into quarterback in the first round. I think this is the year that we kind of. I think this is what we're going to do. We're likely still listening out for the Aaron Rodgers news, but we're going to pour into Will Howard and definitely try to get him some protection with guard out of Penn State, Olai Vega Ione. Uh, Great pass protector, great run blocker. Um, this is a plug and play starter after losing Isaac Seumalo. Um, I think he'll really start shore up our run game, especially with the new addition of Rico Dowdle. We have a more downhill rusher, and even more so with the change of pace back in Jalen Warren as he is. So just to shore up this protection for Will Howard or Aaron Rodgers if he does decide to come, I think that's the move in the first round.
All right, so I'm gonna ask you this question. I'm gonna give you the 26th pick, which is my team, Buffalo Bills. Now, on a lot of mock drafts, we are projected to trade out. Now, I'm gonna ask you this question: do you think for a team like Buffalo that quote unquote needs I can say a lot, but needs integral parts so we can get over the hump to actually get to the Super Bowl because we that close? Is it smart for teams like that to trade out and try to get as many picks as possible? The old Patriots way, because that's what they used to do a lot. They used to just trade their first, second round picks and just hoard thirds and fourths and fifth round picks and try to find their talent there. Or is it better for you to stay where you at and try to get a player? I'm gonna ask you that first, and then you tell me what you think we should do or
I
who
feel
we
like
should.
with a team of that caliber as the Buffalo Bills, having a superstar quarterback already, having a superstar running back already, having a pretty sure defense for the most part, I think you can afford to trade out of the first round if you were to receive a haul or for your first round pick. Um, but in most cases, 26 in the later rounds of the draft, being that that's where Buffalo will likely be picking all the time. I don't think you'll necessarily be receiving the biggest payout for it. Um, but I do think if you were in this position at 26 especially in the Buffalo Bills position. I think you do need to target wide receiver. And I think this is where you go Denzel Boston out of Washington. He's a true X wide receiver. He has great body control in the air. I mean, I would hope this doesn't give you flashbacks of, I will not say his name on because he is currently on the roster, but he is a bigger wide
Mr.
receiver.
Zero. That's what we call him, Mr. Zero.
And so he is a bigger wide receiver. I mean, he doesn't have blazing speed, but he is fundamentally fast. And he's a great route runner, great hands. I think
Lord,
Denzel Boston would be a great receiver.
I'm getting PTSD. All those sound like the same measurables that they gave this man coming out of college. And if y'all don't know who we're speaking about, we talk about Keon Coleman as a comparison. He's not that fast, big, jump ball. Like, what is the difference between these two? Please, before I jump off the edge of what's the difference between them two?
Not Keon, but Denzel Boston's faster. And
Okay.
I personally trust Denzel Boston in those 50-50 balls a lot more than Keon.
All right, so I'm gonna ask you two more questions before we wrap this impromptu pod up. The first question is this: there's a philosophy, well, there's two philosophies. One is take the player best for your team and the needs that you need, or take the best available player. Which one you think is more advantageous to building a team if you was a GM?
I feel like both approaches determine on what's the state of the team in as of right now. If your team is in utter shambles, I think at that point you just kind of take best player available for a couple of years until you kind of establish a foundation. But more typically for a team that's even halfway built, I just think taking the player that fits the scheme or that best embodies that team's values is the pick that you make.
All right. And this is going to be, I guess, our sticky note question of the night and the last question of the day, which I got to ask you is this. This is supposed to be an edge rusher heavy draft. 32 picks. How many edge rushers do you think get off the board on the first day?
We could potentially see 6 edge rushers go in the first round. We could actually. I would say that's it's a crazy projection, but yeah, we could see 6 edge rushers go in the first round this year.
When I ask you this question, are we speaking about true edges, or are we talking about those that's outside linebackers that can put their hand in the dirt a little bit, or are we talking about true edge defensive ends? Are we talking Myles Garrett, or are we talking Clay Matthews, who's a quasi linebacker who play coverage and rush? So when you say edge, what are you speaking about in particular?
Well, I was ultimately talking about all of them combined, but if with that standpoint, I mean, the only person you kind of knock off is Arvell Reese, and that still leaves 5.
All right. So I think one last team. I know you probably ain't prepped for this, but I just want to ask you this. The Seattle Seahawks, they just won the championship. So most people say they don't need much. What do you think the champions can do to reload to take on another championship in the first round of the draft?
Losing edge Boye Mafe, and then with DeMarcus Lawrence getting a bit up there in age, we got to be wary of the chance that he might retire. I think going into this first round, you take Cassius Howell, edge out of Texas A&M. Has very good explosiveness, has a great bend, a little bit raw as a pass rusher, but I think being forced into a rotation with Derek Hall, DeMarcus Lawrence, he will gradually grow into the game, and he'll be a great fit for them and a great edge for years for them. All
right, I need everybody to remember one thing. When you talk about the first round draft pick, number 1, that's us. And secondly, I need y'all to know one thing. When you come to play, we out.